Alright, y'all, it's your boy Fro, and today I'm going to be talking about the 2007 Tim Burton flick, Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, starring Johnny Depp. So ain't nothing to it but to do it.
Now let's begin.
3, 2, 1.
Now this review is going to be coming from somebody who doesn't have much knowledge on the original source material done by Stephen Sondheim, Christopher Bond, and Hugh Wheeler, if I'm correct. I am aware that there's been a ton of adaptations through the years, but this one is definitely my introduction through the Sweeney Todd universe, if you will. But right off the bat, I've always enjoyed this movie ever since it came out. I think Johnny Depp puts in a solid performance as Benjamin Barker, who later becomes Sweeney Todd through the film. Helena Bonham Carter, I always thought was a weird actress, to say the least, but I do think she does a good job playing Mrs. Lovett, the meat pie shop lady, which later comes into very gruesome play. Now, we do have a pretty tragic backstory to Sweeney Todd's character. 15 years earlier, before we see him in the present time, he was wrongfully convicted by the main villain of the film, Judge Turpin, played by the late great Alan Rickman. After Sweeney Todd, or Benjamin Barker in the past tense, is exiled from the town, Judge Turpin goes after Barker's wife, he rapes her, and she ends up killing herself. In the present tense, Benjamin Barker adopts the alias Sweeney Todd. He's starting to see red, he's seeing revenge in his eyes. He's killing off a bunch of the different customers in the barbershop, slitting their throats with his razor, and it gets rather gruesome. There's a lot of blood spraying throughout this film, and I am a sucker for practical effects. I am a gore hound as well, so I get my pretty fair share with this film. It even gets more nastier when Miss Lovett, played by Helena Bonham Carter, she gets a little bit cuckoo. She starts helping out Sweeney Todd, disposing the corpses of the barbershop customers, and she eventually bakes them into fucking meat pies. And this is when the already dark film just starts to get even more grim and gross. And me personally, I do like this decision with the movie, despite how grotesque it is. Other notable actors we have appear on the screen are Sacha Baron Cohen, who everybody knows as Borat or Ali G. He ends up playing a very sleazy barber competitor to Sweeney Todd. He's oozing on the scumbag charisma, if you will. And spoilers, 3, 2, 1. But I always thought Pirelli's death in this film was pretty gruesome because it's lingered on for a second. Sweeney Todd slits his throat. Well, he bashes in his head first with a tea kettle, stuffs him in a trunk, and then he ends up slitting his throat rather slow. And I always thought that death was pretty gruesome. We also have Timothy Spall, who I think is a pretty underrated actor. He pops up playing the right-hand man of Judge Turpin. I always thought his death was pretty freaky too, his character, because there's a hidden trap door underneath the barber chair, Sweeney Todd's chair, where he puts the customers on. After he kills them, the customers' corpses, they shoot through this hole that leads to the underground lair where Miss Lovett is baking the meat pies. There's a little moment where his character's fucking head splits when it hits the ground, and that was a pretty freaky image despite being like a 2-second shot. This is just what I remember off my head. Now, this may come as a shock to some people, but I'm not the biggest fan of musicals. Some I do enjoy, like Singing in the Rain, which you can laugh at me, but West Side Story, etc. There are some I can pick out, but this might be my personal favorite just because of the hard R graphic bloody violence rating. I think that edges it out for me, and it's my type of flick. So the musical numbers in this film, I don't mind whatsoever. Again, this is coming from somebody who can't really compare this one to the original adaptations because I don't have much knowledge on them. I only have really knowledge on this film. And I do think the overall direction from Tim Burton is done well. This might be my last favorite Tim Burton movie, just off my head, because I personally haven't enjoyed or loved most of his movies in the past 10 plus years. So I would say this was the last one that I thoroughly enjoyed. I am holding some anticipation for Beetlejuice 2. I can't name my favorite Tim Burton movie, maybe Ed Wood, but this is really close to it. And I do think the cinematography in this film is fantastic as well. But to wrap it up, again, I've always been a fan of Sweeney Todd. I do think this holds one of Johnny Depp's better performances. He was nominated for an Oscar, but in a weird way, I feel like this one doesn't get brought up as one of his better performances, despite being nominated for the Oscar. I could be wrong, but that's how I feel. I think he does a great job as Benjamin Barker, aka Sweeney Todd. And to go from that change where he was this rather cool dude and rather innocent guy in the beginning to a bloodthirsty, villainous, vengeful character is a really interesting change. And I think he pulls it off really well. And despite being a villain in this film, some can argue that he is on the anti-hero side because he is wanting revenge for Judge Turpin. And I am rooting for him to kill Judge Turpin for sure. But if I remember, there's some innocent customers that he kills as well. So it is a bit harder to root for him sometimes, but I do root for him overall to kill off the main villain. And for my Fro rating, I'm going to give Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, a 9 out of 10. And that's it, y'all. It's your boy Fro. Until next time, what do you think about this adaptation of Sweeney Todd? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think there's other better adaptations? Do you think this is one of the worst ones or one of the better ones? Let me know. Comment below. Subscribe for more Fro reviews. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.